Hello and welcome to the Pixelated Realms Gamescast, your guide through the digital landscape, untangling the mysteries of your favorite titles and discussing the latest and greatest in video game fun. I'm your host, Alex Sinner. Alongside me is my brother, Tyler, and my good friend, Dustin. What's up, guys?
Hello.
What up?
Welcome back to another very interesting and fun week of video game talk.
Yeah, it's a fantastic time to be a gamer. We were talking about it before the episode started, that it was like the last few months has been kind of a dry spell, and now all of a sudden it's like I'm flooded in video games, and it's just this, for some reason they like to release everything, like you were saying, in September, October, like the fall time, to get ready for holiday season,
as we call it in the gaming industry.
Oh, AAA season, like fall coming around.
Yeah, that's the official terminology.
Exactly. So today we're going to be doing our weekly recap where we talk about what we've been playing and just, little tidbits of news. Then we're going to answer questions from the community, just like you can ask at pixelatedrealms.org/ask. And then we're going to be diving into Space Marines 2, mostly, which is we've been playing a lot of. You haven't even played it. Don't be.
I know, that's what. I'm just going to fucking take my little Sekiro sword right here and just end myself while you guys are talking about it.
Very slowly in like 1,000 stabs.
I have to very
most
precision.
Unsuccessful seppuku ever.
It would be a very precise one, It's like, so not because I don't want to play it, but just because I haven't
don't get a second.
Yeah. But first, we're going to bring up a little bit of housekeeping. So we have announced that we created a Patreon. It is free. You can subscribe to our membership tiers, but that's not required. And we post our most up-to-date information there, including things like any changes to our schedule. We just released our new video game scale in more detail, and links and things like that you can go ahead and check out. So I highly recommend anybody who is interested to go to our Patreon, because that is where we're going to post all of our most relevant, up-to-date information. Okay, now Tyler, Dustin, what have you guys been up to?
Yeah, I've been up to a lot. So, obviously, with Outlaws having been released, I'm still playing through Outlaws, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. Still think it's a great game. Still having a blast with it. But then on, on Thursday, those with early access were able to start playing Warhammer Space Marines 2. And I just got to say, it has been already a wild ride. I know we're going to talk about it more later, but it's just been really quite a fun experience already, and has been distracting. But I got to keep myself focused, because I'm like, Outlaws is still really a lot of fun. So I'm kind of like switching between like this brutal rampaging video game and like a stealth video game. So it's been fun. And then besides that, my fiance and I have been leveling characters in the new WoW expansion, which has been fun.
The War Within, I think, right?
The War Within. And I'm trying to understand like the story, because I love the World of Warcraft lore, but like it's without a doubt messy. And so it's just like I'm like, okay, where are we now again? What happened with Sylvanas? Like 2 expansions ago, Sylvanas was the main bad guy. Okay, we defeated her. She's in jail now. Like, who's the bad guy? Okay, an old god came back. We defeated him. No big deal. That happens like every other expansion. And then I'm like, wait, who's this new Zalathar person? So I've been trying to kind of figure that out, but I don't know. It's still fun. World of Warcraft's still a standard fun RPG or MMO RPG, and one thing I've always appreciated about them is they always keep it. Sure, it might not be like reshattering and redefining the game every single time, but at least it's a very solid game you can go back and play if you just don't want to. If you want to turn your brain off a little bit and just enjoy yourself.
I think I'm gonna make a podcast called The War Within, but it's gonna be about like how I want a cheeseburger, but how I also want to be fit.
How many episodes? I want to hear the whole itinerary of episodes on that one. Number 1, how it will affect me mentally. Number 2, how it'll affect me
just
physically.
Like a fucking motivational eating like fucking podcast, just like The War Within. Want to be fit, but I want to eat food.
I do want to call out the most exciting thing so far in Ultramarines 2 that probably most people, I would say the vast majority of people, would not understand is in the tutorial mission. So this isn't a big spoiler. Like, sorry if this is. I guess I won't spoil.
It's literally the intro.
It's literally the first thing that happens. So you're you drop in as a member of Death Watch, and one of your team members is brutally murdered. Well, that team member is Ulfar, who is the actual one of your team member and playable companion characters from the game Warhammer Rogue Traders, which I had been absolutely raving about for weeks and weeks on this podcast. And so just having that, it was just funny because it was like, Ulfar, oh my god, he's in this game. Yeah, he's in Death Watch. And then it was like, and you're like, oh no, he's dead. So
it was like half a second. Yeah,
it was just a wonderful little introduction, and then they just ripped him right away from you. Like, I just loved that. And they're not even the same companies, so like they clearly were it was a little nod to the the other creators. So I just loved that.
He survives that entire game just to get killed in a half second by a side pawn of the enemy in this game. But cool.
Right, Mr. Space Marines hater, what have you been playing?
Not a hater, just haven't got to play yet. I almost came up on a free code, but I have to check back next week.
Out of Alex's bank account.
No, like a real free code, because I know somebody from Saber, so we'll see. They're like, give it a little bit of time. Let me get back to you.
Sponsor us. We'll say only good things, I promise.
Exactly.
We're gonna say only good things anyways.
That's why I said that.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't been gaming this week. I'm still sitting on Millennia and the Elden Beast because I just have taken like a break from the game. But I've been watching a shit ton of Fairy Tail. Actually, I've been binging Fairy Tail. So
what season are you in?
I don't know what season. I'm on like episode 80 though. So
okay.
If you've watched it, they just got sucked up by Anima.
I've watched more than that.
Yeah, they just got sucked up by Anima, and so
you haven't done the time skip stuff like area. Yeah, you would know.
The person's name is Anima.
Anima. It's like a
Anima.
It's a fucking like weapon. It's created.
That is an unfortunate name.
So there's two dimensions in Fairy Tail. You find out, and like one of them is like really low on magic power, and they created a weapon to be able to suck people like wizards and people out of the other world, which is Earth, to then turn them into magic power so that fuels their world. And so that's just happened to Fairy Tail, the guild, and but a couple of the people survived, and they went there. They figured out how to get there, and now they're trying to save everybody. So that's where I'm at right now. So
Fairy Tail's cool. It's a fun show. I felt like it was like all of the fun though of like One Piece, but I always like just resonated better with One Piece. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was
I've
just
heard that
my
Fairy
opinion
Tail
after like 100 episodes.
The Fairy Tail just kind of goes like this. Like it starts out really strong and then just like slowly kind of gets worse, or a little bit repetitive and boring, predictable. But I've enjoyed it so far. I'm about a third of the way through, if you include canon only. So yeah, it'd be fun. But anyways, cool. That's what I've been doing. But yeah, so that. Do we want to talk about? Well, actually, Alex, go ahead.
Oh, wait. So, well, actually, Alex, yes. What have you been playing? Because we need to start talking about this little game that starts with a C and ends with an ord.
Yeah, we could talk about that, I think, after. Yeah, so for me, same thing. Like, I've been playing a lot of Space Marines, too, because that just came out. Super fun. We'll talk about that. Outlaws, I've been playing that, too, in between Space Marines and stuff like that. Space Marines, I think, is a smaller story, so I'm kind of focused on finishing that one so I can go back to Outlaws. But it's,
same.
Both are really fun. And then Astrobots came out, and I have that on my list. So I'm going to be probably picking that up as well. I've heard it's been like nothing but great reviews on that, so I'm super excited to play that one.
Some of the costumes look really fun. Like they have like a Borderlands costume, I guess, and there's some other ones. Yeah.
For the Astrobot?
Yeah, for the Astrobot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to plug in my PS5 and like play the original one because like I guess I didn't play it. Because like
you never it is fun.
It's like a tutorial, like teach you all the cool things about PlayStation. So like goes.
But that's the thing is like I just remember dropping into the little like worlds, right? And they were like super fun.
That's
like
it.
It was just
that's
like
the game.
But
it's a platformer.
but it wasn't anything. Like like I couldn't do anything. It was just like walking around.
No, then you didn't do the right part. There's
Once
like
you
an
go
actual
into the world, you can actually progress. Like there's like 4 different stages.
See,
in
yeah,
each
there's
world.
something I missed.
You probably were in the menu.
They gave it they gave like the new one a 9 out of 10. I'm like, what? It's just like I missed.
That's
something.
interesting
really
that you missed it, because I bet you went to like the beach one first, because the beach one's kind of a little bit confusing to get like rolling on that.
I'm gonna be a jerk, and I'm just gonna literally watch some gameplay right now, just because I feel like an idiot.
Of the new one or the other one?
Of the new one.
Because the original one, you start off in like a hub world.
Yeah.
So that's probably what you were talking about. And then you go, and there's like 4 areas of the place. It's like you're inside the PlayStation, and you go into like the memory or the CPU or the graphics card or whatever.
Like a jungle, like a beachy / snow area. There's like a weird flying like world, and there's like a Skypiea basically.
It really kind of just seems like they took like the Ratchet and Clank like thing and then put it into the PlayStation. Well, I'm just looking at the bot right now, and I'm like, he just reminds me of Clank a lot.
Yeah,
and the way he like swings his arm.
Kinda. It's just like, well, the original one at least was supposed to be just like a way to show off the power
performance,
of the PS5 and stuff like that. And it does a really good job. It's really fun. I mean, it's basically become the mascot of PlayStation. And if it wasn't before, it's definitely now. Yeah. And so it's gonna, I wouldn't be surprised if they work it more into like the marketing material for even other games, like any SIE game. Probably have more like Astrobot stuff.
I mean, in all fairness, platformers are like genuinely one of my least favorite.
But at the same
time, types of games of all time.
I feel like a lot of people feel that way, but at the same time, it's like the OG classic video game. So you have to like kind of look at it too of like,
it's like
OG... a little outdated, but it's like the most video game.
You're referencing Mario, I assume, in that?
Yeah, like Mario. I mean, for console, maybe not like an arcade.
I just think like once things became 3D, right? We got like Super Mario 64, and like you got like you started getting the Spyro. You got Banjo-Kazooie. Like those games were great at the time because it was so exciting to like explore these lands, and like all we needed was to collect items to be incentivized. But like nowadays, that's like not enough for me in this cruel way. I don't know how to put it. I don't know.
That might be true for some, but I think others, like just like that linear, easy experience, just like.
And I'm not hating
have fun.
I'm just saying like Star Wars Odyssey, right? Like everyone loved that game. Or sorry, not Odyssey. No, I'm thinking Odyssey. That's the most recent one. Everyone loved it, and I'm not saying I didn't think it was awesome. I just did not play it. I literally was just like.
Yeah, but you
played the first level, and I was like, okay.
You kind of fall into like the category of like hardcore, even slightly competitive to a degree kind of player, and this is a much more casual kind of game that's meant for like people who aren't playing every single day and are just looking for something to relax.
Personally, though, and maybe this is part of this podcasting journey, is I'm starting to realize like how much strategy games are my favorite. Like I love all sorts of types of games, but like specifically games that are highly strategic are always have been my favorite. Like, specifically turn-based ones, because I love sitting there and being allowed to think for a second. And so it's like there's like plenty of games that require a lot of strategy, like WoW, but that's a very quick reflexes game. You have to be quick. But like turn-based RPGs, like those are my favorite. Which, okay, I just want to, for 2 seconds, and then we'll move on here. I just want to say there is no turn-based competitive strategy games out there. There's none. Besides like fucking chess. Besides like chess. There's I'm not joking. If you look at
like Civilization kind of stuff.
No, that's more like a 4X game. I'm talking about, say, like a game that takes between whatever, a couple minutes or a couple hours. There's no turn-based competitive games that are actually like played.
Would you consider a card game?
I would say Hearthstone.
I was about to say card games are the only exception, but personally, I consider card games a different genre in my head. But yes, you would have to go to card games. I personally do not like the randomness of drawing from a deck. That's just a personal gripe.
I'm not a big card game guy either.
I don't mind card games. I just like when it comes to a competitive thing, the having like Hearthstone was really fun. I don't know. I had a hard time getting around the randomness. But like, remember how we were talking about that game Duelist? Like, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Right? When that game came out, the reason I was excited because it was a game I could play ranked in, and it was a quick, 2 to 5 minute games. 2 people bring it. It technically was a deck builder, so don't get me wrong. But it was a deck builder plus you would summon your units and have these battles. So I don't know. I just think it's really weird that there isn't a like a one that has like esports. There isn't something like that. Civ doesn't really have like an esports scene. There's people who play it competitively, but it doesn't have an esports scene.
There's people who play literally anything competitively.
Yeah, right. There's people who play games from 1993 competitively still, which is amazing. I love it. So yeah, that's my spiel.
I do have the
cool.
Astrobot controller showing up today, so that's pretty cool.
Your which controller?
The limited edition Astrobot controller.
Awesome!
Nice.
I was able to get it when it came out, so it shows up today.
But
that is a pretty slick controller.
That is awesome. But yeah, I think we should talk about this disaster. It's only been Concord. So we've been doing this podcast a little over a year now. Seems time has really flown. And is it just me, or has there been like quite a few video game disasters in that time? Is it our fault? Because
nothing
quite our
like
fault.
This.
No. So we got. Okay. Well, so who wants to say the news? Let's summarize first.
Oh, okay. I guess we gotta give some. Yeah, Dustin, you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. So Concord, Overwatch clone-ish game that was made by Sony or published by Sony came out a couple weeks ago.
Hero shooter.
Didn't even crack over 700 players on first day, and they've just been getting like pretty rough reviews, pretty rough feedback, and Sony just decided a couple days ago that they're just going to shut it down. They're going to take it offline.
Less than 2 weeks.
Everybody who bought it is getting a refund, unless you bought it from a non-online retailer. Then it's kind of up in the air. But we'll see what they
insane.
do. But
everything about this is just like slightly unbelievable. Like it's just crazy because 700 concurrent players on Steam, less than that. It's like I feel like people will buy anything just to, like. There's at least a small group of people that will buy like anything, and the fact that a game made by a AAA company didn't even break 1,000 is just like mind blowing. Like this had to fail so bad.
Can I just clarify? That means that people could not access the game, right? Because I was one of those people who bought the game, but I could not get into the game. So when you have 700 players on your peak weekend, that's got to mean that 99% of people didn't get in.
I don't know, honestly, because if that was the case, you would think that it would uptick once like if a server issue got fixed, people would still willing to give it a
refunded
chance.
Before it got fixed. I was like, no, dude, you can't in the first 24 hours I can't play your game. I refunded.
But
so
I don't think most people are like that though, because I think we live in an age where people are much more forgiving on launch day bugs. A lot of games have them at this point, so I don't really think that was the case. I don't think it's actually but like 10,000 people bought it, but just 9,700.
That number's too low, though, right? Like 700 people would buy a soggy piece of toast if they sold it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I don't get. More than 700 people bought that game, without a doubt. You know what I mean?
I'd like to.
They'll never release it because they're canceling it. But like, I'd be so interested to see what the numbers were on actual purchases of the game, because it's certainly higher than 700 because that was just concurrent.
Obviously.
But like, what percentage of people were able to even get in the game, and why didn't they come out instead and say something like, hey, we had some issues, we're going to take the game down for a week, we're going to fix those issues, we're going to relaunch, and we're going to try again, or something like that, and we'll give everybody free blink, whatever. But that's never even happened.
Shock. That's my shock about it. It's not so much that the peak. It's shocking that Sony has, in theory, given up on it so quickly, because the note said that they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with it, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are reading that as, oh, well, it's just dead, and that's their nice way of saying like it's gone forever. But I just can't see them abandoning a game after 8 years of development after 2 weeks. Like they'd be so much better off just taking it offline, adding in. I don't know if there's a cosmetic purchase thing, but like just being like, okay, we need to like create a shit ton of cosmetics, make it free to play, relaunch this thing as a free to play title.
In my opinion, I feel like that's what's going to happen. So they took the game offline in less than 2 weeks, right? This was supposed to be this huge IP drop. They didn't really give people a lot of headway. They said like, hey, this is coming. Then they dropped that trailer. The trailer looked decent, like they invested half their budget into it. The game comes out. It comes out super rough. Then they cancel the game to figure their shit out. So in my head, I'm like, okay, if the only move they have, in my mind, and this is consumer-driven mindset, is like, okay, take the game down, try to reformat it, and like make it a playable game for people, make it free to play, of course, because that's the only way you're going to get forgiveness from the community. If you're ever going to get people back to this game in any number that's worth supporting, you're going to have to make it free to play, re-release it free to play with like content map, something like that, and go from there. But like, just to say that they spent 8 years on this game, had this cinematic that like kind of was like trying to be Overwatch-esque, and then think about Overwatch is still one of the greatest blunders in gaming history. It was a gamble that took years to understand it wasn't going to pay off, but I was there from day one till the end, and like this Overwatch
absolutely paid off. You're crazy.
Yeah, you mean maybe Overwatch 2? But Overwatch was not a blunder in any way. It doesn't resounding
it's like
success.
one of the most successful games probably ever.
Okay, the competitive Overwatch scene in OWL specifically.
Yeah, but that's so like also Blizzard's fault for creating a game with the intention of making it an esport off the bat. Like everyone knows esports are created by the community. So I mean, OWL was successful in its own right, but it wasn't that OWL wasn't successful. It was that Blizzard set the expectations on OWL way too high, and the buy-ins for teams were out of control, like where the odds of them actually being able to generate that revenue to make it worth it were just never going to happen.
The greater point is that that arc of Overwatch like had a lot more confidence and planning, but like this just was like, it just seemed like, oh guys, we have this big thing. Oh, just kidding. And they just like completely chickened out because of how bad everything went. So it just doesn't bode well.
I think you're on the right track. I do think they're going to re-release it. I do think they're going to make it free to play, because it's tough to make it a paid game in a market where multiplayer only games tend to come out free to play and then have microtransactions. And then also they had all of these, they were saying like they're going to drop a cinematic every week or like every other week or something like that. Oh my gosh,
really?
So they had that, and you don't do that without having a bunch of those already pre-canned. So they already probably have a ton of cinematics, and probably my guess is that they were like, okay, we have all these like cinematics, all this story, all this content that we're ready to drop, and we're like, but if we drop it in a dead game, no one's gonna watch it. So let's halt all of that, redesign, come back out, and then start over. Still having all that stuff that we haven't released. I see that happening, because I agree with you guys. I do not think they're gonna throw away 8 years of work and millions of dollars in 2 weeks. And if they do, this is most definitely, I mean, I would almost already say this is the most catastrophic AAA since Cyberpunk.
I'd say it's over that.
I think so too. So I would say like the big catastrophes are like Anthem, Cyberpunk, which eventually recovered, No Man's Sky, which eventually recovered. So it's like a lot of them do recover, and a lot of them are just, like communication issues and stuff like that. This one, however, having it full on canceled the game after 2 weeks is just insane. Like you keep thinking like, oh, it can't get any worse than this, and then it gets worse. Like this is pretty bad.
Anthem was, and I worked on Anthem, and Anthem was a fucking disaster. It still sold over 5 million copies.
Right.
Exactly.
I played Anthem.
I would be surprised if Concord didn't sell at least like 1 million. Just because it's a Sony game.
Curiosity alone will get you 10,000 players concurrently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's unbelievable.
They would be able to leverage because, like I said, Overwatch has sold over 50 million copies. The game is a fucking masterpiece.
Okay, sorry, but I regret the comparison.
But like Overwatch 2 was a massive letdown to what it was promised. Like, it was supposed to be a single player focused game, never materialized. They changed it to a 5-person. Yeah, I am too, because Blizzard is such.
They promised that since Overwatch 1.
Yeah,
Blizzard's
Blizzard's amazing storytellers, right? So everybody like getting to oh shit, we're actually going to get to like learn about these characters.
I want to learn about this world. Yeah.
But I could see like Concord trying to leverage like the disappointment with Overwatch 2 and players who still love that type of game into Concord. Like I know we were talking about Overwatch 2 like dying, but I looked up the numbers afterwards, and they still have a fucking shit ton of players. Like, there's still like millions of people playing Overwatch. I mean,
Overwatch is still a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I think Overwatch is a wonderful IP. I just think it ended up. They really spent a lot of time, effort, and focus and investment into that, wanting it to be a competitive game, and that part failed. And then when Overwatch 2 came out, and there's no single player mode, they can't get their shit together with the 5v5 or 6v6. I mean, to me, like, this was not the Blizzard I knew and loved, back in the 90s and 2000s. But that's a whole different conversation, right? Yeah, Concord is a totally another level of a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Overwatch 2 1 hour ago had 163,000 people playing and still gets 20 million active players a month. Like, you're telling me you couldn't take some of that player base with a game that most people are pretty disappointed on and then get them into a new one?
Right.
So, like, the audience is there for, like, a 5v5 hero shooter, or 6v6, whatever.
They're fun games. Yeah.
I'm sure that even, like, TF2 probably still has, like, a decent player base.
Yeah, there was this one called Rogue. Shoot, I'm gonna forget it. But it was like a random like EA game, and you just had 5 people shooting 5. Like those games are a lot of fun. That's the thing. You don't even have to make them perfect. They don't even have to be like super unique. So it's super weird that Sony, a company that has typically we're really impressed with their studio titles, right? I mean, Santa Monica Studios, your God of Wars, your help me out here, various other titles. So yeah, I don't know, it's just surprising.
Anything by City and Spider-Man, all that stuff.
Yeah,
like I don't want to get us demonetized on this video, so I'm not going to talk about it. But there's like another whole angle that's circling around online, and it's fucking stupid.
So, yeah,
we're not talking about it.
Yeah. It's not like this is some indie title, right? It's not like this is some indie thing that no one's ever heard of, that nobody has any faith in. This is a Sony title. Yeah, so it's like it's pretty unfathomable. But I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes, and if we see this crop back up, and if in a year there's still no word from Concord, then this is officially the worst disaster. Because that just means they flushed down 8 years of money, however much that equates to. And I know the whole time they probably had a skeleton, like the first like 4 years or whatever is probably like pre-production skeleton crew kind of stuff. But still, like it still costs money. So it'd be very interesting to see where this
and
ends
honestly,
up.
I do not fault the studio at all for this. Like I'm sure this game is good. Like I think this is just a drastic, like, by Sony executives of like realizing the marketplace right now, and just being what we could put a price tag on this. We could put a price tag on this game and charge, and that just being like ultimately an awful decision that honestly the studio probably had very little to do with.
Rogue Company was the name of that game. Sorry.
Yeah,
that's okay.
All right, should we get some questions?
Well, hold on. A small tangent. Did you guys hear that Jason Schreier's coming out with this book called Play Nice, The Rise and Fall and Future of Blizzard? And it's this whole book on, like, how Blizzard has fallen out of grace.
It comes out in,
like, couple, let me see. When does it come out?
All right, guys, fund our Patreon so we can buy ourselves copies.
I think it comes out in, like, a month or so. October.
Is he a piece of crap?
I'm going to not say anything about Jason Schreier. Let's just look at it that way.
Regardless of what you think about him, his journalism is good, or at least I feel that, and his books are pretty good. So I've read his other 2 books, and I really enjoyed them. So if anything, regardless of your
Maybe a topic for another day.
A topic for off camera.
Oh, okay. I'm not in the industry, so I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, whether or not you like him, his journalism is relatively respected. So I'm very curious to see what maybe not, but this to see what he's got to say about it.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's
before we go into questions, let's just really briefly touch on this Minecraft movie thing.
Oh, yes.
Because I think it looks good, at least fun. I know everyone's hating on it, but let's remember, everybody, Minecraft is like Roblox or like Fortnite, and it's a game that attracts like the 15 and under crowd, and that's who this movie's made for. It's a movie made for kids, like I'm sure like there's probably some adult jokes, and they're trying to probably have like a Lego Batman kind of vibe to it, where any age can enjoy it, but all you Minecraft players who've grown up and you're in your early mid-30s or whatever, like
have fun with
get
it.
over it.
Know, man.
Get over that shit. It's not made for you, unfortunately.
That's fair.
I mean, they'll have plenty of nostalgia stuff in there for those people. Like, I personally did not grow up playing Minecraft. That's fine. But like, if you did, there'll probably be plenty in there for you. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like, it's also just one of those things, man. Like the Super Mario movie. Like, I was like, oh man, this Chris Pratt voicing. But like, have you seen it? Like, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
I
watched it a bunch
I really
of
like that
times.
movie.
Yeah,
okay, that's what I
watched it a
mean.
bunch of times.
But that's what I mean. Like, you watch the Minecraft trailer and you're like, oh, this is embarrassing, blah blah blah. But like most cinema is like totally watchable and has some
except for the Borderlands
jokes.
movie.
I watched like half of it, dude. Did you watch it?
No.
On what?
Okay, so on YouTube, someone released a copy on YouTube HD, and I was like, okay, I'm sitting here playing games, like I'll put it on. Dude, I gotta say, it was just one of those moments where I was like, because everyone said it was horrendous, I was just like, it's fine. It's not that bad. Like it was.
It's because your bar was so low.
It was because the bar was. It was absolutely because that. But like, it was fine. I mean, it was fine. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't Assassin's Creed bad though. If you guys saw the Assassin's Creed film, I mean, that was
probably
like,
the worst movie ever made.
It was
Like,
terrible
almost ended
filmmaking.
Michael Fassbender's career.
Honestly, like I would have walked out if I was in the theaters, but I didn't see it in theaters. This one
was Dad. Is the only reason I didn't walk out, because like he was like, it was me, him. It was like a few of our family, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad.
One of the worst films I've ever
Emily
seen.
walked out.
Period.
She walked out and just hung out in the lobby for a while.
That would have been more fun. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I watched it and I was just like, yes. Is it like something I'm like, this is wonderful and I'm so excited about this and engaged? No. Was it like offensive to the senses? No. Like, it wasn't.
Would it have been better if it wasn't so this is how I feel about the Joker movie. I think the Joker movie is a good movie, but I fucking hate it because it's the Joker. And I don't think it's a good representation of the Joker.
You just mean because it's attached to something you know and love, it's harder to.
And it's just so not like what the actual character or world is, that it's just such a deviation from that it made it very difficult for me to enjoy. But if it was just like a movie about like this schizophrenic psycho person, then I'd be like, oh, this is actually really interesting. I wonder if Borderlands is like that, where it's like if you take it away from being Borderlands and like the things it's missing or the things it changes to make it more mainstream, and you just watch it independently as like a new story, like if you could have, oh yeah, this is actually really good, but because it's Borderlands and it's not what the games are like, that's why it's like bad.
That's how I felt about the Han Solo movie, where like I felt like because it was Han Solo, we had such a
too many biases.
Preconceived notion of what Han is going to be. But if it was just some generic scoundrel in the Star Wars universe, it would have been much more. It would have been received better.
And I'm sorry to do this, but I have one more tangent I'd really like to talk about. So I was playing Outlaws, right? And I was sitting there and I'm playing and I'm like, Kay Vess is a really cool character. I'm really excited to like continue to see her story. No problem with that. I think it's wonderful. But I'm like running around and I'm like, you know, man, this is if you replace Kay with Mando, this is kind of like the Mando game I always dreamed of. Yes, there would be like maybe a little bit more combat in a Mando game and a little less stealth. But like, think about it. Like, if you replace K with Mando and you have all these underground contacts, you're taking contracts, you're a hitman who's just going around the galaxy doing your thing. Like, how is it, you know, they wouldn't really have to change the game at all because it's all the same, like similar time period, you know, so on and so on. So I'm just kind of like, if you think about Outlaws like that, and I'm like, you know, one, it would have been a cool opportunity, but two, like, it really is kind of the whole package of that, like, exploratory Star Wars
I can
bounty
absolutely
hunter.
tell you why that's not the case, or why that's not why the game is the way it is.
IP?
IP. Lucas, there would be so much less creative freedom for Ubisoft's studio creating that game than they would be creating the game they created, because right now, like, they're able to basically create a new story alongside with Lucas, and like, this is what we want this character to do, and like, they could build around that. But if they did it on Mando, like, Lucas would be like, so like, they're fucking are like fist up their ass, like making sure everything.
Well, they'd have to
is
consult Jon
exactly...
Favreau and all that stuff. Like,
Because it's
I mean,
an
like,
active story. It's still like progressive. It's not like an old story
well,
of
Lucas
Mando.
also has like lore experts, right? So like, those are the people that like the
they have to
studios
consult
work with.
they have to consult the Lucasfilms team no matter what for the games or for Mando. But I'm not saying I want this to be a Mando game. I think I'm just trying to like put it in context that if anyone, like, I'm just like, this is a wonderful format, and like, I want them to, like, I'm excited for them to like potentially use this format for more and exciting things, you know?
Yeah,
like,
so
maybe
like,
we get a
you
DLC
could take
that
this and create
you know,
a Mando
Yeah.
game. Like, now we know that a Mando
or
game could be
a mod.
successful.
You know what I mean? Like, someone could do a really cool mod in that game. I'm not even saying, like, I like playing K. Like, that's totally fine. I'm just excited about the possibility of more Star Wars games.
Yeah, so the formula exists, and it's successful, that where you could see other characters that would fit this type of style being created, basically.
This might sound stupid, but I kind of, and I'm sure there's people who disagree with me, and if you've made it this far in the video, please let us know. Please let me know if you disagree with me in the comments. I like Ubisoft getting these IPs and turning them into these beautiful worlds to explore. So, for example, Avatar is a IP that went, so it's a lot of Disney IPs, right? So Avatar went to Ubisoft. Ubisoft took it, they make this, you know, very like 7 out of 10 game, but the world is the beauty and the absolute exploration of the world was 10 out of 10. They did the same thing with Star Wars. They do the same thing with Assassin's Creed places in Greece and in Venice and in all these locations. So I just think I enjoy when Ubisoft is given these IPs. Like, give them Lord of the Rings, man. I want to see Middle Earth Ubisoft style. Okay, last tangent, sorry.
Yeah.
There's actually
I
a
got a
really
tangent.
good... Hold on.
There's this game.
go ahead.
Do you guys remember this game on the original Xbox called Oddworld Stranger's Wrath? And you played as like a
course.
bounty hunter. That was a
Got
really good
odd
game. And I
guns.
actually, and I'm just actually now seeing that they re-released it on the Switch. It was interesting. But I would love to see like a Star Wars bounty hunter game like that. Like, because he's like a bounty hunter, right? And you have like this like wrist rocket that has these like two alternative, like. You have
the whole
like
idea, right, was that his guns were all like insects or other weird aliens
like
that he
alive.
found. Yeah, they were all living.
They're like living creatures. And so you shoot like this like piranha basically at like enemies and stuff.
Or like you throw a grenade, but it was like bees basically.
Yeah.
You know?
but all right, enough tangents.
Read the
let's
article
move on.
I just linked. I just linked Tyler. Like, the first paragraph, it's called "The Star Wars is a crappy masterpiece," and like, literally, this whole article is about how like the world being built is like fucking gorgeous, and the attention to detail and the work that went into building the world, and then like how the gameplay itself actually kind of like takes away from the masterpiece that has been created from world building. So
yeah.
I think
I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, it's not a ununderstandable argument. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Star Wars Outlaws 2 are going to be a masterpiece. So yeah. So if you want to ask us a question or leave a comment, you can go to pixelatedrealms.org/ask and we'll read it during the show. So we have a few questions today. One is from Secret Fan.
Ooh.
So when you create a character, is there a name you like to reuse? If so, what is it? If not, what is the name of the latest one for what game? I like this question.
That's a good one.
Oh, what do you guys go with?
I got one off the top. So I just created a character yesterday in World of Warcraft. He is a Zandalari troll shaman, and I named him Shakal Khan, which is kind of like Shakalaka, which is a name I like to mess with, plus Kolto Khan, which is from the Underwater Namor DC thing. So
I thought you
really
were doing
funny.
Shaka Khan, the American singer.
But then there's also the American singer. So I was kind of fusing a whole bunch of references there.
Nice.
Just
What
for
are you,
fun.
Dustin?
Now, for me, I think that like it's just kind of if there's a character or like a name that I've stumbled upon recently that I'm like, oh, I really like that name. I might like use that. Or if I'm like watching an anime or a show and I'm like infatuated with, I might like use a character name from that. So it's like usually has some kind of meaning. I think the only name that I've continued to use is Lost Prophet over the years, and that was like I used it in Counter-Strike, and then my first WoW
I was
character.
about to say, are we talking tags?
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess that's like a username. Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
I kind of separate those out. Like if the name is just like the name of the save file and nothing else,
Right.
then I'll name it like Alex. I'll just name it my name. But if the name of the character appears or I associate that name with the character, I almost always use Nobu after I started playing Ghost.
Nobu.
Because I named my horse in Ghost of Tsushima Nobu, and then the horse, spoiler alert, the horse ends up dying in this really, really emotional scene, and like, it really hurt. It I can't explain it without you playing the game, but it's a moment where like it hurts.
What?
And
Mine
so
was
after
also
that, I
named
always
Nobu.
name my character Nobu. Or on occasion, if it's like a multiplayer or a multi-character game, I'll name them like random like Viking names, like
Wow.
Magni or something like that. But
I do
yeah,
have a couple
Nobu.
names. Nobu. Wow, that's a good one. I like that.
I think it means shadow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do have a couple names I use all the time if it's like a single player game. I'll use like Calcifer, the name of my cat. I'll use Lucius sometimes. Yeah. But like Maestro if I'm online as a username. So I'll always use Maestro. My old ones are Domino Effect, which is a really fucking depressing because I was just so like angsty as a teen. And then Techno Cold, my first username ever. You heard it here. I love it because I promise the only reason I named myself Techno Cold, and I want this on the record for future reference, play this at my funeral, because I thought I was really good at resisting cold weather and I was technical. So my name was Tech Not Cold, basically. And as a like 10-year-old, I thought that was how you made a username.
That's so funny.
So come at me.
Nobu means trust. Okay, next question.
I like that better.
This is from Ralph. Hey Ralph.
What's up?
If you could have the powers, abilities, skills of any one video game character, what would it be? Ooh.
If we could have the skills
There's
or
some
powers?
Yeah.
There's some characters that kind of break this one.
Now, I would. It's like
just Superman.
Does it have to be the main character or any NPC? Because
I mean,
I guess it could just be like Superman, like basically any Marvel character.
And anyone who can control
grabs.
time would be my.
You
which
can't
one's
pick
immortal?
a character that's based on a superhero, right? Because that's too easy.
Okay.
But
like,
Just
an anime character. I pick God from the game God. No. I feel like Kratos is a pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would think of like Kratos because he's basically just super strong and immortal. Like,
yeah. There's so many things.
No gods.
My character from WoW.
No gods
die.
and no superheroes.
Mario. That's who I choose.
Mario.
You could long jump and like squeeze down.
I could
tubes.
jump and I could become a fire thing. And
well, but anybody
lot
can
of
become
weird
those
foods.
things as long as you find the box, right?
No, I want to be a plumber. It's for the money.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, if you can't, but no gods and no superheroes, that really like limits it down.
Could be Luke
See,
Skywalker, Darth Vader.
I always look at these though, like, because there's these questions all the time on like Facebook on my feed, and it's like, would you rather have a threesome with Nami and Robin, or would you rather have
How was your example
like,
that you saw?
or would you rather have like devil fruit powers, like, or like have Luffy's powers? And I always like, that's a terrible example. It's more one of the degenerate examples, but there might be a different one that's like, would you rather be Goku or would you rather be Luffy? Okay. And I always try to look at these questions of like, what is actually like
in real life, like
yeah,
useful?
Like, do I want to
Goku
be like
is
a
not
rubber
useful
man?
in real life.
Neither is Luffy. Like, why do I want to be a rubber guy in real life? Like, that's like zero benefit for me.
I can see like some things happening with that, but like Goku, all Goku does, he's like a normal guy. And then he just happens to be like an incredible fighter when he needs to be.
But yeah,
you know?
he's super strong. He can fly. You know,
he can fly. You could be a delivery service. It'd be wonderful. I mean, Luffy, come on. He has a million things. He could stretch. Like, he's powerful. He could be a shipwright. But he's Luffy, so he's not going to be any of those things.
I was curious to see what like the internet thought. And there's a couple of interesting ones. One is Doom Guy is saying like he is just like he's probably like the strongest. Kratos is on the list, but number one on Watch Mojo's list is Kirby. Because they're
so
like
dumb.
They're like anyone that he fights, he'll just suck the power out of him. Which is so
imagine
kind
you
of
just
hilarious.
suck everyone you see. Like, someone's like, I'm the best pianist. You just suck them into your mouth, spit them out, and you're like, nope, now I am.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I like
Silly
the Doom
question.
Guy one. I think that's pretty Minecraft Steve.
I like being. I want to be the Skyrim guy, so I can level up my skills by hitting a tree. Like, I can continually level up my skill, but by doing the same exact thing without needing to know nuance.
I think Gensakai would be pretty cool because I've always like been fascinated with samurai. So being like a master like samurai, you know, like
Who's Jen Sakai?
From Ghost of Tsushima. He's
Ghost.
my character.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Have you not played Ghost? Because if you
I've only
haven't,
played
you
like the
really
first
should.
level.
Whack.
Like the first.
So like I think that'd be kind of cool, just because I think it'd be like really awesome. They'll be just like amazing with a katana and that, but it's again not like a super beneficial skill to have, unless someone breaks into my house. I'm just like off with their head.
I'm gonna go with a Jedi. I want to be a Jedi.
Oh, I like this one. Death from Darksiders 2. You literally play as Death.
Jeez.
Just like the fucking Grim Reaper. Or, you know, I'm sure there's multiple games. I like
Maybe
Game
Optimus
Rant,
Prime.
and their number one is some character I'd never heard of from a game called Shin Megami Tensei
Shin
3
Megami.
Nocturne. Yeah.
Shimugami.
I guess you're like a god. And then number two is the dog from Okami, and then Kirby is number three. People are really digging Kirby.
Pretty Japanese, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next question. This is from Solaire. Praise the sun.
Ooh, praise the sun.
This is interesting. I have.
Hello, friend.
I'm trying to debate whether or not this is Katie or not, but
know.
anyways, so using your self-made scale, can you name a game you played as a kid that you'd rate as a 10 and one you'd rate as like a 1 or a 2? This is a great question. I love this. This is easy.
Yeah.
For me,
GoldenEye
like
is a 10.
Ocarina of Time for sure. When I beat that game, I like teared up because I was like, I'll never be able to play it for the first time ever again. You know, like it's such a stupid
For me,
thing. But
early 10 out of 10 is easy. Mega Man X. Still one of the greatest games ever. Greatest shooter, greatest everything. 10 out of 10.
yeah,
I'd say shooter, but it's
Oh, it's
I don't
a
really look at
platform.
Mega
it's
Man
a
as
side
a shooter.
scroller shooter.
It's a side scroll. For what type it is, yeah.
Okay, it's not FPS, but yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, what did I say? I said GoldenEye.
Oh yeah, GoldenEye. That's a great one.
All
I'm trying to think of what I would give like a 1 that I play. Like maybe like Glover. I don't know.
Yeah, Glover was not great. There's a lot of flops.
Yeah, the thing is, if a game is that bad, I'm just like I'll play. I just won't play it. You know,
Yeah.
like I'll just stop
like,
playing
that's
it.
my thing. I don't really remember because if it's like that bad, I probably just was like, yeah, this game fucking blows.
I like Glover though because okay, Glover wasn't a 1 out of 10, but like it was just at the time it's a frustrating and kind of stupid game. It really
you
is.
literally play as like a glove that
And I wanted to like Glover. I really did, but okay,
Yeah.
I'm cool with Glover. I like
If I could
throwing
go
Glover
back in
under the bus.
time and give a game a shitty score, even though I played the fuck out of it, there was like a VW bug racing game that I fucking played so much. And at the very end, you get a VW that has a siren. It's a cop car, and so all the cars just pull over all your competitors, and it's pretty hilarious.
Oh my
I
gosh.
got going back. Maybe that's the only game I can think of where I'm like, that game probably wasn't actually as good as I thought. It's like, Dude, Where's My Car? I watched that movie like a bazillion times, and I tried to watch it recently, and I was like, this
And you're like,
movie is
oh god,
fucking awful. I got like 10
Yeah.
minutes in, and I was like, this is so fucking bad.
unwatchable.
Yeah, it was literally unwatchable. Because I was telling my wife, like, dude, you gotta watch this movie. Like, this shit is so funny. I watch this like 75
Like the people
times.
we were in the 90s as a society. Like
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like that's the experience I'd have with that VW racing game now, where I'm like, this is kind of trash.
it's not a 1, but you know what, a game that still holds up that is like the most random game ever is the Chex game that came
it's not
as
bad. That's a 10 out of
that came
10.
that came in a CD in the Chex like cereal box at the time, and they re-released it, by
awesome.
the way.
They did.
You can now
They did.
download it. And I played it again it was like a year ago or whatever. I just played the first like couple levels, and I was like, this game still holds up. Like it's still a really
it's
fun like
it's totally a
3D
Doom
shooter.
Duke Nukem
Yeah.
replica. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what other game I loved is Wave Race. Did you guys ever play Wave Race?
Oh
It
yeah,
was
you
a
play like on the
fucking-
jet skis.
Yeah,
I
it was a
think-
launch game for GameCube. And I loved that game. But also going back, I'd probably be like, this game is fucking trash. Oh, you know what? It's actually a 64 game, Wave Race 64. Oh my god, I didn't even know they made new ones. They made a Wave Race Blue Storm for GameCube. I never played it. But yeah, Wave
No,
Race
look
and
up.
N64.
Some of the like worst games, like Superman, the
I was looking that
N64
up too.
Superman.
You know what's another character that'd be cool to have her powers is Lara Croft, like expert
Oh, yeah.
archaeologist.
And
She's an archaeologist, like expert, and then she's also like pretty handy with the still, you know. So
yeah.
should be a kind of a cool like character. Oh, this might actually be beneficial because I could become an archaeologist, and it'd be good to have the weapons training in case someone ever tried to rob me or whatever.
Yeah.
Honestly, I want to give ones out to just all these like shitty games that were made from like movies or like
Oh, yeah.
like it was like a game that was ported from a console to a Game Boy and just no one put any effort into it. Like I'm trying to think of any examples of that, but there's a lot. Like you'll say like a
you know, on this-
Castlevania or something like that just didn't port well.
Yeah, so probably the worst game ever made in all of history is like E.T.
E.T.
for Atari. And there's a really funny episode of this show called Code Monkeys. It's like this like 2D kind of makes fun of like early 80s game developers. And there's an episode where the guy makes E.T. and it's like they're like, okay, this new movie's coming out. We got you tickets to go see the pre-screening of the movie. And he's like, all right, I'm going to go do it. And he takes it. He scalps the tickets and goes to a strip club instead and does a bunch of like drugs and then goes and codes it overnight. And he's like, here you go. Here's the game. And they're like, cool. And they just ship it without like ever playing it. And then they show you the game. And it's
Nobody
like,
plays.
this game makes no sense. It's just like, it has no rhyme or reason. But anyways, okay, we're already running over a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and move us on.
Yep.
So we're going to move on to our main segment. We're going to talk about Space Marines 2, but we want to say real quick before we dive in that we really appreciate everyone who follows and subscribes to us. We post new episodes every Tuesday on podcast services and YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and on Patreon at Pixelated Realms Podcast. Okay, so Space Marines 2. I'll say
We've
our
been waiting.
official review.
I'll catch you guys next episode. See you later.
Yep. See ya.
Yeah. So we've been playing Space Marines 2, and you know that we're big Warhammer heads. So this is already like we have a little bit of a bias going in. We're already really excited, but it's a first-person shooter in the Warhammer universe.
Third-person shooter.
Sorry, third-person shooter, and it's a mostly
He hasn't even
story-based game.
played.
Never played it. Never even heard of it. And we've
Third
Tyler and I have
person
been playing it.
Yeah.
And
Co-op story mode.
Yep.
With side operations as well as the main campaign with PvP content as well. So yeah,
Yes.
we've been diving into the campaign. it came out on Thursday for early access. I believe it's Tuesday, basically when this episode drops for everyone else. First and foremost, this is like Alex was saying, this is a third-person shooter, and it really just kind of takes the form of a Doom game where you jump in and you just slaughter. But the thing is, this is also implementing horde mechanics, which you might recognize from World War Z, the game. So we have thousands of models on the screen that are all acting in this very kind of new and fancy way. So not only do we have this really fun kind of like jump in, shoot, and slash your way through with multiple weapon choices, a whole arsenal, but you have this really interesting like horde mechanic with the enemies, and we've just been having a blast so far.
Yeah, so I agree. I think it's like if you took the style of Gears of War in the Warhammer universe with some zombie survival with maybe a little bit of Doom mixed in. Like if you took those kind of four things and pushed them together, that's what you get. And it's very satisfying. I mean, we've been playing it. It's very fun. Like you play as this giant ultramarine. And for those who aren't familiar, they're basically like 8-foot tall superhumans that live thousands of years. They're super strong, and their entire purpose in life is to kill the enemies of humanity.
The
and
Imperium.
So you're basically like these like extremely devout soldiers. You get dropped into these shitty things, and of course there's a story that's unfolding, but I'm not gonna put any spoilers or anything in there. But you go in and it's just fun killing stuff. Like it's so satisfying, and you're just this mega super strong soldier, so it's very fun. It's like, it's the same feeling you get when you play Doom, and you're just like, the kind of thing of like, I'm not stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me, that kind of thing. Like
and at first, like, the game seems really just kind of like random, and you're like, I'm swinging my sword and I'm just blah blah blah, I'm trying to parry whatever, and you have hundreds of guys like trying to attack you. But once you play it for a few hours, and I don't even know, I'm like let me check, like 7 or 8 hours in now. I am 10 hours in. You start to really feel the nuance even when you're being surrounded. So it's like, okay, I need to parry this, I need to swing through this, and then I need to, there's like so many different like mechanics, which like one's called like the gun attack. So like if you parry
like
someone,
counter,
you can
the gun counter.
Yeah, you can counter them by shooting them. And then once you shoot them, a lot of the times they can be executed. So you execute them, which then gives you more armor and sometimes health regen. So there's kind of this like flow to the battle, so that when you're getting horded, you don't die immediately. With that being said, it is still a very difficult game.
It's hard.
I've been playing on veteran difficulty, which is the 3rd out of 4 difficulties, and I switched off of the hardest difficulty because I was convinced it wasn't even possible. It was just, you're getting swarmed so much, and so it'll be fun to go back and try, but I think they might tune some of the difficulty just after like reading the Reddit threads and stuff, because people are kind of like this is impossible. But to be honest, I'm not really complaining at the moment.
The difficulty is one of the, so we're playing on, like you said, the veteran, which is the slightly harder. So there's like easy, normal, hard, really hard, kind of is what it is.
We're playing hard.
But we're playing on hard. But the thing is, if you read the description, it says this is how the game is meant to be played. And so, whereas I was like, okay, I'm going to play on that one, even though it's like slightly harder. But even so this isn't a criticism, but I do feel like they do need to balance a little bit more, because I do feel like we've been able to progress rather steadily. But there are a lot of moments where I'm like, there's just there's like it's like it'll be like fine, and then there's moments that are just insanely hard, and it's like, okay, I just have to get really lucky. And maybe they won't tweak that part, but it's like I feel like I need a little bit more control in certain situations. But that being said, it makes the stakes real, and it is fun. And like you were saying, like the way that you fight is like, okay, so you have your guns and then you have your melee, and if you there's like cannon fodder enemies, and then there's like slightly harder, like medium to hard,
elite
like
size enemies,
kind of enemies. So the elite guys, after you shoot them or hurt them for a while, and it actually takes quite a bit to get them down, they go into like an execution kind of glow, and then you can execute them. When you execute them, so you have armor and health. Your health doesn't regenerate. It's it is what it is. You can find a random health pack, but they're very rare.
Yeah, I
and
wish
then you
there
have
was more.
I do. That's another criticism. I wish the health. I do wish the health had another way to, either it like
Regenerate.
regenerated after like maybe a very long time or something. But the health packs are just not consistent enough. In the campaign, you do have a power that allows you to get your health back, but you don't get it very often. So it's like maybe once in a critical fight you can use it. So it's like you only have like one additional chance to like regenerate your health. But anyways, that being said, so you have armor. You have like 2 armor pieces. And when you execute, you get one of those armor pieces back. So like the strategy is to kind of like continuously execute people to continuously get that armor back. Because once your health goes down, like you can't get that back. So you're just trying to keep your armor up. But that being said, your armor goes down very fast.
Yeah.
Basically, one hit will take away armor. So it's like you have like 2 hits, basically. Like maybe
And you
4
do
from a
have-
smaller enemy.
I don't even
And-
know what to call this, but like when your health starts to go down, but it's still highlighted. If you execute someone in that time, you get that health back. But that time frame's pretty short. I don't know what to call that mechanic. You see it in a couple games, but
it's a common mechanic. I'm trying to think of what.
It's like a health replenishment system, almost like that. But and then you can spur health regeneration, but it's not a lot. So there's still some tweaking to be done there, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not like
terrible or anything.
It's not terrible. Like I'm complaining because it's like such a minor thing, but I don't want to make it seem like that's a killer in this game. It's absolutely not. It's such a minute thing, and it's one of those things that like I'm criticizing it because I love it. Right? It's like I'm so involved in this game now that I'm starting to see like some of the smaller, more minute things that I would like to see change. But other than that, I mean the combat's still very good. And you have like a good diverse amount of it's pretty good diverse amount of weapons. And it's really fun. And so it is difficult. It is very satisfying to go and kill these big enemies.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of things. First, we like to talk about some of the broader topics when we're doing our reviews. First and foremost, this game is visually stunning.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It is. It's just funny because the last couple of games I've been playing, I've been more in the photo mode than I have been in the game. Like, I'm literally in Outlaws and in Space Marines 2. I'm just like sitting there in the photo mode. I mean, I'm going to start sharing them. I think I want to share like 1 screenshot a day on our YouTube. Because I'm just like, not because I think I'm good at taking photos, but just because I'm blown away by like some of the art in these games, and I just want it to be appreciated. I want people to see how gorgeous it is. I think there's a little bit of an art to like photo mode, and sometimes I'm like, if I can get a really good shot, I'm like, maybe I should print this, So yes, it's just absolutely beautiful. The hordes of guys of the Tyranids is just like, it's just awe-inspiring. Like, you're just like,
you
wow.
see like literally like, I mean, in the distance, you see like millions of things coming, and then you get like a trickle of them in because, rendering.
Yeah.
But it does feel like you're in like a big war against these like bug creatures.
It's representation of Warhammer and its different factions and their attitudes and their look. 10 out of 10. I mean, this is the best. If you like Warhammer, if you're interested in Warhammer, this is the best visual representation I've ever seen of a video game in this world, which is not surprising. It doesn't surprise anyone, but it is just it's a marvel in and of itself of just like immersing yourself into this world.
I know. There's like in between the missions, you're like on your ship and you can kind of have a little bit of like, you talk with people and stuff like that. And I'm actually like find myself wanting more of that. And it's like they keep it pretty short because they're like wanting to get you back in the mission. But I'm like, I really want to explore.
I
all
wouldn't
these
mind
cities.
a little exploring. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like allow it to go. Like I kind of want them to like, like have a DLC where they're like, hey, you can go into a city and like walk around or something and it's not destroyed this time. That would be super cool. But yeah, so we've been playing through the campaign, but there's also like a multiplayer part to it, and I haven't really dived, into it very much. But there's a PvP and a PvE side, and then you can make a custom Ultramarine, which is super fun.
Salamanders, let's go.
Yeah, so I was making my Space Wolves, and Tyler had his Salamander character, so that was pretty cool. The thing, though, just on the surface that I see is there's only 6 operation missions, and I would really like to see more replayability on that. I haven't I haven't dove into it, so I can't really say too much. PvP, I'm assuming, is just PvP, so like that's probably very replayable. But you know what I was thinking about? We talked a lot about Ghost of Tsushima in this, and I was thinking like Legends. Is there co-op multiplayer mode that they released kind of as a standalone thing second to that? I think this game could have a really strong like Legends style end game where it's like, okay, this was the campaign drop. There's a little bit of online multiplayer stuff. And then they were like, oh, but we're going to take that and we're going to make it even like we're going to add even more to it. I would pay for like a Legends DLC kind of thing where it's like, hey, here's this like side game where you are now your like custom made guy and you run all these like PvP mission or PvE missions. A little more diverse.
It could be different alien types, like different Xenos. Like you go against orcs. Like that would be so fun. Although they did the Tyranids perfectly, and I own a lot of Tyranid models, so I'm like, oh, that's this and that's this, and oh, I don't remember what that is. It would be so cool to see other Xenos in this game just for fun.
Yeah, and like I hope they continue. And I say this for a lot of games that I like. It's like Outlaws 2 and stuff like that. Like I haven't even beaten the game yet, and I'm like, I hope they continue to add things because I want to play it. Like, so if you guys are out there, or maybe I'll send some feedback through Dustin to his friend, be like, we want more. We want Ghost of Tsushima Legends and Space Marines 2, like that style thing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I think this game really excels in its design, like in general, visually, both. I'm a huge fan of minimalism in general. If you heard about my Ubisoft like compliments, like I like minimalism, and it keeps it fairly minimal as far as like loadouts and editing appearances. Like you have enough to what you want to do, but it's not like it's throwing like a mobile game worth of menus at you. So I don't know. I appreciate the UI and the design and layout of all of the things.
The simplicity.
Yeah. As far as performance goes, it's been working essentially perfectly for me. I don't know if that's everyone's experience, but I've been having no issues.
I had a few. I had a little bit of stuttering, but I'm unsure if it's my computer or if it's the game. I did see online some people were having some minor issues, but it never. It was never like unplayable. It was just like some like minor stuttering while I was playing or something like that. But it never was enough where like I couldn't play. So what would you give it on our scale? So for those, we have our scale. You can view more detail on our Patreon, but it goes from masterpiece, excellent, great, good, okay, bad, and awful. So we kind of have like a 7-point scale.
All right, so I want to do my accolades and modifiers first, actually.
Okay.
So I'm going to give it the outstanding world building accolade because I just think it encompasses Warhammer perfectly. I have no notes. I would like to also give it the stunning visuals. So that's the second one in 2 weeks, which is always a good thing, but I love giving it out. It deserves awards for how gorgeous it is. And I'm going to give it a modifier of great for both keyboard and controller. I know that's one we don't have up there right now, but that's one we've talked about a little bit. So both good. And then lastly, my quality and scale. This is going to be my first excellent. I think this is about that 9 out of 10-ish range. I think there's still a little bit, that they could add or adjust. But I appreciate the work. I think there's some things they could do to make this perfect. I think this is a must play for most people.
Yeah, I think that's a good review. I'm also going to give it stunningly beautiful and outstanding world building. I think those are good accolades. It's just like it does that so well. I mean, it's gorgeous, and the Warhammer universe is just so amazing. I'm going to give it on the quality scale. I think I'm going to give it a great, not an excellent. An excellent is slightly above great. I think it very well could be an excellent, and it's like for me, it's like a great and a half. Like it's so close to excellent for me, but I just couldn't quite get there 100% because of some of the kind of the balancing. I felt like that was just like could be worked in just a little bit. And then if they had a more complete multiplayer experience afterwards, the PvP was more complete, because I feel like right now in this game, it's like you can beat the campaign and then you could beat all of the PvE missions and you're done, and you've 100% it and there's nothing else you can do. Now, that is not a criticism, but I feel like in this particular game they could really take it one step further, and I think that would make it a 9 or a 10, which is the excellent or masterpiece. So I think there's just a little bit of room for improvement, but I still think it's to me, it's like, I would almost give this one, so we have must play accolade. I think I'm actually going to give it a must play as well. So it is a great, in my opinion, but I'm going to give it a editor's choice must play.
Now, one thing I've been thinking about a little bit too that I wanted to mention is, I personally have no problem. I know some reviewers might be like, hey, this is my rating, like, this is it, blah, blah, blah. Personally, I have no problem with changing my rating. So I think it's a 9 out of 10 or an excellent, somewhere in there. I think it's wonderful now. We might come back to this in a few weeks after we've completed everything, and I might say, you know what, my opinion's changed. I'm going to say this is great with these things to improve. Or I think I was right. So just in case anyone was wondering how we think about it, I am perfectly okay with a fluid way of adjusting my rankings personally.
Yeah. No, I agree. We're going off of the information we currently have, and that can change over time. But
also, emotions and feelings can change over time, and when you check at multiple points, you can kind of help with that bias a little bit.
Yeah. But another modifier which we don't have on here, but I'm gonna have to add, is fun co-op experience.
I was about to say co-op. We should great co-op. Yeah. So definitely
we'll have to put a note down for that, to add that, because it's a good co-op game. So that's it's definitely worth playing. That. So if you like these kind of games, if you like third-person shooters and you like to feel like a badass, Space Marines 2 is definitely for you.
Yeah.
You guys got any last-minute comments? I think
Can we just acknowledge how good of a casting Angelina Jolie was for Lara Croft?
For Lara Croft? Yeah.
Perfect.
It kind of brought her back, didn't it, for a while? Because she kind of dipped out for a little bit, and that brought her back into the limelight for a while.
Mm-hmm. It was honestly one of the first really good video game movies, even though
Spider-Man, X-Men.
And just as a little signing off note, I did want to say we're trying to stream this one, guys, and sorry if we haven't been able to post schedules or anything like that. We've really just kind of been streaming when we can, so please be on the lookout on Twitch and on YouTube for stream notifications. Please hit the bell if that gives you the bell, because we're trying to stream as much as possible, and we'll be posting information on Patreon as we have it.
Yeah, good call out. And I think maybe when we hit 1,000 subs on YouTube, maybe we can create more of a schedule. We
should have a celebration
twice a month
stream,
or something.
Though. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
we should do a celebration stream at 1,000. I think that'd be fun. We're
comment on what you want us to do. Comment on what.
The finals, clearly. So 3-player game.
The finals, X Defiant.
All right, well, anything but the finals.
I didn't love it.
That game's not the worst. It's just there's a lot better options.
I didn't say bad.
We gave it its time. Well, anyways, thank you all for listening. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to be notified when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every Tuesday morning on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, and now on Patreon at Pixelated Realms and Pixelated Realms Podcast. Thank you all very much.
Bye-bye.